Let me tell you something. I love it.
My God.
I love it.
I don't.
Lazio
I don't.
sucking is something that I've wanted for a very long time. It's something that Latito deserves. He thinks his shit doesn't stink. It does. Like,
Ciao ragazzi. Welcome back to another episode of Calcio Culture. On today's episode, we're discussing Matchweek number 27 in Serie A, as well as the Champions League, Europa, and Conference League. This is your host, Vos, with my co-host today, Mats. Mats, how you doing today?
we're doing well. Today's a good day. Back with another episode of Calcio Culture. Excited. I'm excited.
Big game for Juve this weekend. Really exciting game. I guess every exciting game this year has been a Juve game, in Italy at least. I guess maybe in Europe too, even at this point.
Yeah,
But anyway,
back.
guys, if you're new to the channel, please go ahead and click like, follow, subscribe, leave us a review. If you're not new to the channel, also make sure you've done all of those things. But we've got a lot to talk about today, so we're going to kind of just get straight into it, starting with Champions League. It's been a week since these games actually happened, and it felt like a month has gone by, so we wanted to spend a little bit of time here with kind of a mixed bag of results in Europe for Italian teams. Some things went really well, some things didn't go so well. There were positive takeaways, negative takeaways. I guess we'll start with Inter because that was the first game. In the second leg against Bodo Glimt, they were at home, lost again 2-1. Inter goes out of the Champions League 5-2 on aggregate to Bodo Glimt over 2 legs. My immediate reaction to this right off the bat was it's unacceptable. And I don't know how else you can look at it. I think if they had won at home, that would have been something to hang your hat on. But the fact that they lost over 2 legs, they lost both legs, only scored 2 goals against a team that's never been in the Champions League, I believe. And I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what went wrong. I know Bodo Glimt have been good defensively, but at the same time, you're Inter Milan. You have to come to the San Siro and level these guys. That's just unacceptable. Like, especially going back to last season where they came back against Barcelona at home at the San Siro. Like, we've seen what a fortress it is in the league. We've seen it's a fortress in Europe. I think it was just a lapse in concentration, maybe not taking them seriously in what led to this, but no excuse from my end.
Yeah, I echo that 100%. I'd even go further to say that I don't know what happened to Inter in the entire Champions League because they were they were very much secured in their top 8, not needing to play the playoffs or the knockout, whatever you wanna call it, and they kind of fell apart towards the last 3, 4 games, losing them all
Yeah.
besides, I think, the one against Dortmund, but you had a very, very favorable draw, and I get it. Bodo Glimt's a tough team to win away from home. Flukes happen. You lose away from home, but to your point, going back to the San Siro, okay, we are Inter, they are Bodo Glimt, like, this is why we were in 2 of the last 3 or 4 Champions League finals, and there was no urgency, energy. It was flat out embarrassing, and this is the first kind of, let's call it, blimp or stain on Kivu's resume. He's been pretty flawless so far. I don't know. Are they out of the Copa actually?
No, they're playing this week. We'll talk
Okay,
about that
so
in a
yeah, this
second.
was his first flaw or his first stain, and maybe we'll see if questions are gonna start to be asked of Kivu. I know they're absolutely dominating the league, but Inter, with the depth that they have, with the players that they have, with the wage bill that they have, they should be in conversation for the treble, and they are out early in the Champions League, which is not.
Yeah, what I will say from like a Kivu perspective, I think he got the first leg wrong at I don't even know where this is. I think it's in Norway. I would have liked to see them just kind of defend that game and like really not go pedal to the metal, kind of relax and just try to get through that game. They lost 3-1, and that kind of set them up for failure in a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, coming back home, they still should have gotten it done. And
Yeah,
I guess the
but
silver lining here is you're in the Coppa Italia. You can put all your eggs in that basket now because the league isn't wrapped up yet, but it kind of is. And you can sort of put all your eggs in, let's get 2 trophies now, which Inzaghi never did, to be fair. I don't think he ever won two trophies for Inter in the same season.
in the same season? I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, he still has 2 trophies, but we'll see what comes. But definitely, I think it's fair to ask questions to start maybe asking not a ton, but some questions around Kivu just because of how the players that Inter have at their disposal. And knowing that, yeah, look, you went down 3-1, but that's a 2-0, essentially 2-0. And the other
Yeah.
2 teams that played in the Champions League. They were in the same situation, if not worse. I'm pretty sure Juventus were down 3,
Yeah, much worse.
and they absolutely responded, and it goes towards something that you asked on 2 episodes ago, I believe, and that is what happened with the Serie A and the Champions League, and Logan had a very, very good answer in terms of the second leg, or the home leg matters, right? And we saw both teams that were home for the Italian sides, Atalanta and Juve, put on an absolute world class performance and kind of show this is Italian soccer. Because for a minute there, people were saying that the Serie A is a step below. This is why they don't succeed in Europe and things like that.
Yeah, agreed. And kind of going on to those games, just to quickly go back to what happened. That last Wednesday was one of the best Champions League knockout days ever of all time. Like even not in the Italian side games, that was an insane day. But on the Italian side of things, the Dortmund Atalanta game, I think we can do a little bit quicker because I wasn't all that surprised that happened. Just with how Atalanta
Same.
play, how Palladino plays, they win 4-1 at home, knocking Dortmund out with a 98th minute penalty kick winner from Samardzic to go through a 4-3 on aggregate against Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, a 4-1 home win to send you through is ludicrous. But again, like I was saying, I'm not all that surprised it happened just because Atalanta historically at home will just do this. They'll just blow the doors off of you. They did it under Gasperini. They're doing it under Palladino now. And they have the personnel to do this. I thought one of my biggest takeaways, honestly, from this one, even though we didn't get on the score sheet, was the ability they now have to play Skamaka for like 60 minutes and then sub on Kurcevic for 30 minutes. And there's zero drop off. They play the exact same way. Like you can keep up that intensity. And ultimately, Kurcevic drew the penalty that Samardzic then converted. So they've got Bayern next, which is really interesting. And I think that's actually a decent matchup for like positive things for Atalanta in terms of who you could have drawn, how Bayern are going to play. I think Harry Kane's actually going to really struggle against this man-to-man marking system because his whole thing is drop off to create space and like somebody's just going to follow him into that space. So it doesn't matter. So I'm really excited for that. I think the other thing is if Atalanta knock off both Dortmund and Bayern, all these people that are talking about Serie A just need to shut the fuck up.
I mean, dude, I don't want to hear about the Bundesliga. Like that
Yeah.
is that. I mean, we've seen players that put up insane numbers in the
Luis
Bundesliga because
Openda.
of their Luis Openda Exhibit A because they're high line and then go to another league and can't do it. So the Bundesliga is by far many steps below the Italian league.
And then on Juve, last Champions League game that happened, Juve at home against Galatasaray. They lost the first leg 5-2,
5-2, I believe.
5-2.
Yeah, with the
So
red card.
had a lot to do at home. Had one goal at halftime. They had then the worst red card of all time, I think, that I've ever seen. It went to VAR. It continued to be red. Doesn't make any sense. So Lloyd Kelly was sent off. They went on to then tie the game or tie the two legs aggregate, tie the aggregate. And then they concede 2 goals in extra time, go out 7-5, realistic on aggregate. But realistically, once they made it to extra time, there was just nothing left in the legs, and you could just see it. They just couldn't keep going, and obviously that had a lot to do with the red card. But big takeaways for you, Monson, because I do think that regardless of a win would have been great. Yes. Were they ever going to win the were they ever going to win the Champions League this year? Probably not. But I think there were some pretty positive takeaways from this one.
Yeah, I mean, the positive is that, and it seems to be happening in a lot of these Juventus games, is that there's definitely belief again in the team, belief in the system, belief in Spalletti, because these are types of games where you're down 3-0 on aggregate. So let's say it's 1-0 at halftime. So you're down technically 2 on aggregate and you get a red card. A lot of times players can just, hey, it is what it is. Like we just got screwed. Ship it in. You just kind of jog it out the remainder of the 40, 35 minutes and you accept defeat. Not at all the case that in terms of what Juventus did. They look like they had 12 men on the field when they had 10 men on the field, albeit Galatasaray definitely botched some counterattacks that they could have put away to put the game away. But for the most part, even when Juventus were down a man, they were in control of the game.
And even, I would say even beyond that, they should have scored another 3 or 4. I mean, Edin Zagrova had maybe the worst Juventus miss of all time.
Yeah, that one was a tough miss, but I don't want to get on him too much because if you go back and you look at the game, 5 minutes in, Jonathan David had a header go over the post. Coop Miners had a header go over the post. Yildiz had a really good opportunity on the top of the box, put it wide. Yildiz hit the post. Yildiz also had a very, very good opportunity that people forget. It was a
Yeah.
curled in cross and he dove and it hit the post. So it's not all on Zagrova. You definitely have to make that chance because we go up 4-0 there and bye bye. Like there's no chance that we don't win after that. But it's definitely tough that he missed it. But the response is what you take from it, the
Yeah.
belief and the way that they can come back. It's something that like maybe under Allegri, I never believed. If we got down 2 or 3, it was it. Pack it and we're done. We're not gonna tie and we don't have any chance to win. Now under Spalletti, the game is always no matter what the deficit is, they're always able to at least get a point, and that goes to their bringing back their fino alla fine
Mhm.
mindset. And now there's just a couple more tweaks that need to be done in terms of the Juve DNA and kind of bolstering defensively. But very, very positive things to take away from Juventus.
Yeah, I think the strongest moment for me was Kefren Turan literally
Yeah,
crying on the bench after he missed a chance, really good chance. Came off the field, was basically freaking out, almost left that he was upset that he missed. And then McKennie scored and he starts crying to bring
yeah,
it level. Like that's the kind of thing you like to see. And I honestly we've kind of seen it, but Coop Miners is kind of that same way. Like he always is
yeah. He
in
got
it. He's
passion.
just been struggling. But the other thing that I think is really important, I thought that was Locatelli's best game for
Yeah,
Juventus of all like, period.
Locatelli under Spalletti, and it's funny because Spalletti like didn't take him.
Blacklisted.
Yeah, and under Spalletti, he has grown an insane. He has
Yeah.
improved an insane amount under the small amount of time. Juventus are working on extension for Locatelli, and I would say that is a requirement at this point because almost every game we play now, he's by far and away, maybe arguably the best player on the pitch sometimes, and Juventus's best player, which you love to see because this was the trajectory that we all saw him being on when he was at SAS, and then he earned the move to Juve, and he kind of that growth stuttered or stopped or didn't reach his potential right away. But he every game he's stacking performances and becoming a leader, becoming a playmaker. He's looking like a very, very, very poor man's Andrea Pirlo out there, but at least he's starting to get in that conversation.
Yeah, agreed. The other ones that happened in the Europa League, Bologna went through 2-0 on aggregate, securing a 1-0 win at home over Bran. No idea where they're from. And they unfortunately draw Roma in the next round of the Europa League, which is really tough for the UEFA coefficient for Serie A, basically meaning you want more Serie A teams going deeper in competitions. With them playing each other, obviously only one can go through. For that one, Bologna just got it done over 2 legs. I don't think it was overly convincing, which is kind of what we've seen from Bologna in the domestic league as well. And I think Roma's a pretty bad draw for them. I think Roma's a lot better than Bologna at this point, but you
The
never
one thing
know.
I'll
Like
say,
things happen in tournaments.
yeah, and I'd also say I definitely agree. It's definitely a tough draw, but Roma, right? You play them
Yeah,
twice a
right.
year. They're in your league. You might play them a couple more times if you meet in the Copa. So you know them. Whereas going up against a team you don't know, maybe you would have struggled some other way. But you're familiar with what they do. You know what they're gonna how they're gonna line up. You know how they want to play. So that would be the positive for Bologna. But I definitely agree. Definitely tough draw just based on their 2 seasons so far.
Then the last one in the Conference League, we had Fiorentina coming home to host Jagiellonia, who are a Polish side. They were up 3-0 coming into this game on aggregate. They somehow made this game go to overtime and then ultimately won it in overtime to go through 5-4 on aggregate. Very Fiorentina thing to do this year. They now get to the next round, drawing another team that I don't know. I can't even attempt to pronounce it. I don't know where they are. It looks like it's a Czech club, but we'll see how they do. At this point, I have no confidence. It was a horrible performance from Fiorentina in that one, but you still got a chance to go win this thing. And coming back to Italy later this week on Tuesday, we've got the first leg of the Coppa Italia, Inter at Como, and then on Wednesday, Atalanta at Lazio. Kind of a crazy four to be left in the Coppa Italia, honestly, with how Lazio's been this year. Como kind of a surprise in there, but I mean, Atalanta should go through and be in another final. That'll be their second final in 3 years, I believe, or 4 years, which good for them. And I mean, a great chance for Palladino to get silverware in his first year with the club.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Yeah, I mean, in my back over there in the background, I have the Juve Atalanta Coppa Italia flag there. Not a big deal. Juve won that one.
And Inter
But
Como
yeah, that
should
would
be
be
an interesting tie as well.
a great game. But that would be crazy if Palladino comes in and gets some silverware. Think about it. Gasparini won one trophy, and
Yeah, I
that was the
think that's
Europa
right.
League.
I think you're right.
In his 7, 8, how good he did, Palladino does it in half a season. Wow.
Yeah, that'd be insane. But we'll see. Inter Como will be a really good game as well. But that's kind of what's going on this week. Bringing it back to what happened at the weekend. That's week 27, the real highlight game we want to spend some time on. Two teams vying for a top four spot, and that's Juve and Roma. The game went down in Rome. Final score 3-3. It was a 1-0 early lead for Roma on a goal from Wesley. Then Chico Conceição with one of the goals of the season to level it at 1-1, a long distance shot. Roma then bounced with 2 goals from Ndika and then a goal from Milan, or a goal from Ndika and then a goal from Milan to make it 3-1. And then Juve bounced back again with a goal from Jeremy Boga off the bench in Gatti in the 93rd minute to level it at 3-3. I mean, for Roma and for Juve, you had to say they both wanted to win this game. With where the table stands right now, this was super important. I think Juve are probably looking at this like a win for them, given they came back from 3-1. And for Roma, I think it's a drop of points rather than picking up 1 point. But for Roma, they were defending a higher spot on the table, so I think it's advantage Roma more than I would say advantage Juve, regardless of what had happened in this game. But let's start with Juve, Mats, because you're here, so I think it makes sense for you to kind of give a lowdown on where you're at with this team and your thoughts on this game specifically.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar to what I kind of gave a preview of it in the Champions League breakdown, right? And once again, we're never out, right? With Spalletti, no matter the deficit, we can come back and tie or potentially even win. And that belief is what you want, right? That's like the first step to getting back to the old Juventus, is getting the belief in the fino alla fine and the never die mentality back, which I think we're definitely on the right track, um, which is great. The problem now is that it's every game we're falling behind, and we have to have that response. Whether we're playing Galatasaray, whether we're playing Roma, whether we're playing a struggling Lazio, it is always us falling behind and not being compact defensively. In our last 8 games, and you mentioned the last 8 games, they've allowed 21 goals, which is more than, or it's basically two. It's a little bit over 2 goals a game, which is not the Juventus DNA, right? Juventus's DNA is impossible to break down. They make everything tough on you. They're normally the best defense in the league, right? So that's where we need to kind of figure out. We need to get solidified defensively and more compact, and whether that's changing the formation or maybe playing some different players, rotating some guys. For example, Cambiaso at left back makes us too offensive and we have too many holes defensively. And I think, listen, Weston McKennie's our best attacker, but he's also a very, very good left back that would make us more defensively sound. So that's the glaring problem with Juventus, is we could score goals, but we can't stop anything from going in the back of the net.
Yeah,
That's
and
where
in
I'm
this
at with
game,
Juve
they
right
went
now.
back to that like 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 with McKennie as like the number 10 on paper. That's not what it said, but that's more what it was. And I think going through this team, we kind of keep coming back to the same thing. It is two things. I think Spalletti is moving things in the right direction. Defensively, there's always going to be questions on Spalletti, but then at the same time, I think the question's still there. Who in this team is actually good enough to play for Juventus? And when you start at the tip of the team with Jonathan David, I think more and more it's looking like that's becoming no and no. And the problem with that beyond that is you don't really have somebody to come in because it's Lois Openda, and he's also maybe not that guy. And as you go further down the team with Cambiaso, I think that question is becoming prevalent now. The issue with them is who do you play there? Like it's Weston McKennie or it's Juan Cabal, and people are kind of condemning Juan Cabal at this point. So it's still going to be transfer window, I think, solutions. But in the meantime, you just drew 3-3 at Roma, who are 4 points above you in the league, arguably in a better position than you player personnel wise. So it's hard to say things that are going bad. I think what they benefited from, especially, is a Conceição goal that really rescued a lot of the game in a lot of ways. That was brilliant. And then at the end of the game, there was a really bad foul that was given away, and they score on a free kick on a set piece delivery in the 93rd minute to kind of get them across, which kind of masks how things could have gone. Because at one point they were down 3-1, and if you're down 3-1 against this Roma team, you would think it's over, really. And it didn't end that way,
Yeah,
but
especially considering Roma have the best defense in all of Europe. and they are very tough to score against. I definitely was leaning more towards, yeah, this game is over. But that goes back to the never say die attitude. I'd also good on the subs. Jeremy Boga, since Juventus have bought him, has been a very good spark plug.
Yeah, he finally gives
Zagrova,
them an option for if you want to bring Yildiz off or if Yildiz does get rested. Like
yeah,
he is clearly a left wing that you can play. He's the only guy I think that can actually play that position right now.
yeah, and then Zagrova bounce back game in terms of he was obviously mentally shaken up for missing the goal, but he comes on and he wants to progress the ball. He wants to go forward, and he played the set piece ball in that McKennie flicked on to Gatti. And that's great to see as well that you have inner competition from within the team. The subs come on in the later half of the game, and they're down 3-1, and they're saying we can still win this game, which is great. That, like I said, that's the first step. And it's going to be a long climb back up the mountain, but they are showing very, very good signs that in a year under Spalletti, that they could be the Juve of old. There's just a few things that need to be done, and I definitely need a good transfer window in terms of letting people go and bringing in the right players that are of the Juventus caliber to wear the jersey, because that's the big swing and the miss is they just haven't brought in the players that are of Juventus caliber, and they brought them in for big money, and they're not worth that big money.
Big ask for this team. I mean, I guess coming out of this game, that Mats, because the battle for Juve is still like, how do we get into that top four? In the league, they have one win in their last five, which obviously isn't great. But how are you
Terrible.
feeling about this approach? Again, 4 points out of fourth place now. I mean, this was such a big game. This was an opportunity to steal points off of Roma, and they kind of failed at that. But there's still quite a few games left. How do you feel? Do you think there's a chance that they leapfrog Como and Roma still, or you're kind of thinking they're third, firmly like third in that grouping?
No, I think there's still a chance. I think with the draw, there's definitely a chance. If we dropped 3 points and then
Right. It would have been
Roma
done.
had, that would have been 7 points difference. That would have been tough to come back. But the next games we have Pisa, Udinese, SAS, and Genoa. Now, those aren't easy games, but they're definitely teams in the bottom half of the table. So if you can try to continue attacking the way you're attacking against those teams, and just be more clinical and finish your chances, and you get all 12 points. I don't know who Como and Roma are playing in those same 4 games, but I know Como have the Coppa Italia that they're going to be focused on as well. Roma are going against Bologna in the Europa League, so they have other games that they need to focus on as well. And then if you're the later half of the season, they definitely have a tough schedule with Atalanta, Bologna, and Milan. But if you are within 1-2 points of fourth place with 5 games left or 7 games left, then it's anyone's grasp. So do I love the spot that we're in? No. Am I pleased because we got, instead of being 7, we're only down 4? Yes.
And there's things to
Who
point
would I
to. I think for a long
Yeah.
time there hasn't been things to point to. Like going back to, I mean, I guess since Spalletti's been appointed, things have been getting better in different areas. I think culturally things are getting better, which we haven't really been able to cling on to. I think even, I mean, since pre-Allegri, honestly, was the last time I could say things were getting like I could see things changing.
I don't even know when like Pirlo maybe, but
Yeah, that's honestly like the
I don't.
last time. Honestly, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough, but like I said, there's definitely like, and I think that's the consensus is Juventus have taken steps. They're taking slow steps in order to become the Juventus of old, and they got to give Spalletti time. They got to get some players out. They got to get some players in, and they got to get more depth if they want to go back to where they once were.
Agreed. On the flip side of things, Roma
Yeah, this was a tough one for Roma. I mean, you have this in your hand.
in
You
the
win this
bag.
game, you ha- like I just said, you win this game. You're now 7 points clear of Juve, which is a pretty two more than 2 games, and then you would be what 6 of Como.
Yeah.
So you have some breathing room, and you're tied with Napoli. So you're in basically third, and then you lose on the last minute, and you are now it's anyone's race in fourth. You're only 2 behind Napoli, but you got to see this game out at home if you want to finish top 4. For a team like Roma that haven't finished top 4 in however long, that's their main objective, finish top 4. You have this game in the bag against a team that you are neck and neck with. This is the race right here. You win 3 points. I don't want to say you're sealing the deal, but you're putting yourself in a very comfortable position to fight them off for the rest of the season. And now you've left the door open. And Juventus or Como now they can blow open that door. They could break that door open and leapfrog you at any point in time. So it's not ideal.
No, it's not. I mean, and if you had told me they're going to score 3 goals against Juve, I would have said they're definitely going to win that game with how they've been playing all season with the defense that they've had. And not only that, if you told me they were going to have the lead 2 separate times and have a 2 goal lead at one time, like I wouldn't even consider Juve being in this game at that point. So I think they'll be extremely disappointed there. What I will point to, kind of zooming into this game, because again, everything you just said is 100% true, but like what happened, and we kind of have to look forward. Lineup wise in this team, a little bit different. It went 3-4-3, kind of like more like a box midfield. Some people call it Pellegrini and Pizzilli as the pseudo wingers with Daniel Malin in the middle. And then the rest of the team was pretty much the same. We had Zelki, Celik, Andika, and Mancini in the back line, and then Wesley and Divine Branch as the wingbacks. I mean, probably the most potent offense of all season. I think after this game, you can no longer justify not including Pizzilli in the lineup. He was that good. He was exceptional. Cristante had an off game, but I think this is going to be the recipe now, right? Like whether it's Pizzilli in the 2-man midfield or Pizzilli in one of the wings, you have to play him. And Daniel Malin has shown he is your best forward. And without Mateus Sule, they kind of needed other guys to step up since he's been injured. And Pizzilli was one of those guys in this game. And Daniel Malin was again. He had a phenomenal finish in a 1v1 opportunity. Manu Kone had a great assist to the Daniel Malin goal, and Wesley had a great goal as well. So I mean, I'll credit Gasparini for trying some new things because I think this was a risk in paying 2 like actual midfielders in the wing like Pellegrini and Pizzilli, and it worked out in his favor against a pretty good Juve team. We'll see how he can carry this on to the next game and if this is the formula he's going to use going forward. But I'm finally happy to see like new ideas and new thoughts and new personnel in the team and trying to do things differently because we've been crying out for a long time that is what Roma needed.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the thing with that is Pasili's been in-house the whole time. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's like you've had this guy in your team the entire season, and you
And he's
haven't
played
really
well.
given him.
To Sam's point, who's one of our Roma fan followers, he's been, I mean, I think we've all been saying like Pizzilli should be playing. He still thinks he's been the best midfielder all year. So I agree with you. The solution's been there.
Yeah. So that's kind of definitely from a Roma fan perspective, it's got to be frustrating that he hasn't really been given a run of games, and when he does play, he performs. But this was and one more thing before I kind of get into the Roma thing here. I saw a stat today. Daniel Malin, 6 goals in 7 games, or maybe it was 5 goals in 6 games in the Serie A, or in the season for Roma so far. Luis Openda and Jonathan David, 6 goals and 45 appearances combined. So that's pretty pathetic from the Juventus standpoint. But from a Roma standpoint, this is their guy, right? This is the guy moving forward, which is great that they got him. And it kind of goes to show, let's let Gasparini maybe pick the players that he wants because he knows how to get the most out of him. He's
Right.
proved
That's
that
a
in
really good point.
Atalanta. But what I'll say is this looked like an Atalanta team from 2, 3, even last season. They score 3 goals and they botch it, and they allow 2 goals to concede in the 75th plus minute to not get all 3 points. So we've seen this is what Gasparini is. This game was very much a Gasparini game, right? Like that Amano Kone goal to Malin was Atalanta-esque. It was one pass and it was a goal.
Insane
Just
pass.
sliced the whole field,
Yeah.
like very vertical. Whereas throughout the season, we've seen Roma not be extremely vertical and more kind of
Patient.
pass happy and keep
Yeah.
the ball. We'll defend. So what Roma need to do is kind of find that middle ground, right? They've shown that they can be the best defense in the league. They've only allowed 19 goals in the league, and now with Daniel Mullins since the January window, they've showed they could put up goals, which we didn't see so much in the beginning part of the season. So they need to be able to do both. They need to be able to score goals, get that lead like Gasparini wants to, but then be able to go back in their shell, possess the ball a lot. Like we've said, they have had a lot of possession over this season, a little bit more than a Gasparini side is known for. And that's the recipe Roma need moving forward in order to finish in the top 4. Be that counterattacking, vertical,
Right.
deadly team that Gasparini is, but don't get away from the I'll say, Ranieri side of defensive and stay in our shape and hard to break down that we've seen Gasperini do.
Yeah, and for them, it's coming up now. So they have Genoa this weekend, and then next weekend they have Como, and that's a massive game now. And Como plays very differently from Juve. You're probably going to have a chance to counterattack when you want to against them. And if they win that one, like you probably have fourth place. You kind of have back-to-back opportunities now to like seal that up for yourselves. So that's going to be a massive game. But in between them, so from March 8th to March 19th, 11 days, Genoa, Bologna in the Europa League, Como, and then Bologna's second leg in the Europa League. Very difficult spell
Yeah.
with some extremely important games because I think you got to beat Como and you also got to beat Bologna. You got to go through in the Europa League if you're Roma at this point.
Yeah, and I don't want to overlook Genoa because the manager of Genoa is DDR, and he's going to be very motivated to
And
go put some goals past Roma and try to win
they've
that game.
scored the fourth most goals in the league since DDR was appointed.
Yeah.
So dangerous.
So and I'm sure Baldanzi's going to be fired up to play against Roma in that game as well. So don't overlook Genoa. I do think, just now that I'm looking at the fixtures that Roma have, because yes, after the Bologna second leg they play Lecce, but then they got Inter. So, and then they have Atalanta and Bologna
They have a
again.
lot of tough games left. Yeah.
They have a tougher run of games than Juventus to end the season. That said, if I were to have to pick who I would rather be, if I had to pick a horse in this race as a Juventus fan, I don't think you can go against, I think Roma has the edge right now. They figured out their striker. They have the best defense in the league. Pasili's starting to come on in terms of for the midfield.
They may be playing better.
So they've got more pieces figured out than Juventus. What's working against them is probably their fixtures, their schedule
And
coming up in the
really good.
yeah.
The last thing I want to talk about with Roma, because I was thinking about this, and this might be a harsh question, might be a difficult question to answer, but under Gasperini, from what we've seen so far, are they any closer to winning a Scudetto than they were at the end of last season under Ranieri?
No, I think they're further away.
Yeah.
I think Gasperini, you can't. Gasperini is a 2-3 year project.
Agreed.
Because he wants to get his players in. He is not babysitting, but these players got there. They were already there when he was there. He's going to want to funnel in his guys. And I think when at the end of the season, no matter where they finish, he's got Exhibit A to just show in Roma's front office's face. And that's Daniel Malin. This is who I wanted. Look what he did.
And maybe Wesley. He could have been included in that too.
Wesley, yeah, good point. But they're further away because remember, under Ranieri, they literally didn't lose.
Yeah, they dominated. So were they the first or second best team in the second half of the season?
Yeah, since December, they were the best team. So they're definitely further away. But that said, I don't think anyone thought Roma's going to get Gasperini and win the Scudetto this season. They just because of the question marks, and this kind of goes back to our report card episode, Gasperini is under a lot of pressure, in my opinion, because of the because of his refusal to adapt. Now he starts sort of doing it now with Pasili, but because it's taken him so long, Roma fans are mad at him, and they're you get a short leash in Italy. We already know that. And so if they don't finish top 4 and he didn't make anyone better and he never changed the lineup, I can see Roma fans calling for his head, right? DDR wasn't safe, but you have to give him time. Like I said, you have to give the managers at least 2 seasons. You can't. Italy has to stop appointing a manager one year and then gone the next.
If they get that far.
So, what are your thoughts?
No, I would agree with you. I don't think they're not closer to winning the Scudetto. They might be a little bit farther. I don't think it's much, but I still think Gasperini's a guy, and no matter what happens, you're definitely sticking with him for next season. It'd be insane not to do that. And who knows? They could very well win the Europa League, which would be important silverware. And if you get that, amazing. That's massive. That would be massive.
That'd be a great run.
And you win then you're in the Champions League.
Then you're in the Champions League. You're in the Champions League for sure.
Yeah. So I'm happy with the state of Roma. Do I think things could be better? Yes. Is Gasperini maybe realizing, hey, I need to be a little bit more open-minded? Maybe. You saw Pasili playing in an interesting position that I told him to play him in 4 months ago. So maybe he's listening to Calcio Culture. Who knows? But things this next couple of weeks for them are very big. We'll see how they come out of that. We're gonna really know who they are at the end of that. But that's it for this game. Do you have anything else, Mott's, on this one? Obviously, big game. Top four
Yeah,
races
big game.
heating up. Very hot. Can I go
I
through the
would
other
say
games? Yeah, go
I
ahead.
just real quick, Juventus rotated Di Gregorio because he's been struggling and didn't do much
No, he
better.
didn't do
I
much better.
don't
He did not,
so,
unfortunately.
yeah, that's all I wanted to add.
Taking us through the rest of the games because we're going to, and Mott's just kind of stop me when you want to talk about things. Cagliari went to Parma, tied that game 1-1. Goals from Michael Fullabranchu and my boy Oris Tanya, who's kind of been in and out of the lineup all year. Como hosted Lecce. They won 3-1. Lecce continued to kind of be the punching bag of the league there. Goals for Lecce from Koulibaly, and then on the Como side of things, Duvikas, who's tied for second place with Nico Paz and most goals scored in the league. Jesus Rodriguez finally netted his first goal on a really good campaign he's having. And then Kempf had the third one for them. Napoli went to Verona and had a late win, 2-1. Goals from Hoyland and Akpro, and then Lukaku in the 96th minute to kind of equalize things. I feel like we're
Yeah,
kind of
sure. Well,
Napoli have
I
kind
will
of
say
go ahead.
I just real quick, the Verona goalie, I feel like costed them a point or 3 points. I feel like he has to save both Hoyland and Lukaku's like both those goals. I feel like
I think it's legit. I think it's a little harsh to say it was on fully on him.
I mean, you save those 2 goals, they win.
Yeah, that's
They
true. That's true. I don't know. I don't know if he could have 100%. I don't think they were 100% savable. But on Napoli, all of a sudden here, they're only 5 points clear of that fifth place spot, and we've kind of been talking about this race like it's the four-man race, right? And now all of a sudden, they conceivably could get knocked out. I said I think they're going to be kind of bouncing out of there. But with the team that they have, players are supposed to be coming back. Where are we at
Mhm.
with them? I mean,
It's
they
so
probably don't
tough.
feel great, but they're still getting results. I mean, 3 wins out of their last 5 is like that's very good, especially for an injury ridden team. They've kind of been having to ride a lot of young players. Lukaku obviously came back, had a major impact. I thought he looked really good. We saw kind of his link up play. Obviously, didn't have an assist, but things going better there. I'm still worried about Napoli though. This was a not very
Yeah,
convincing
Kevin De
win for
Bruyne
them.
is back training, I believe, so he's rumored to come back before the end of March, which is a positive, but you can't not be worried because of the injuries. And I would just add it's kind of a common theme that we came on week in and week out and talked about, but this I don't wanna call it a partnership because they play with a back 3, so there's 3 of them, but Buchama and Buongiorno I thought Buongiorno had a decent game, but this should be a shutout. This
Yeah,
should not be
against
they should not
probably the worst team in the league.
yeah, now the goal happened on a corner kick where no one marked the man on the 18, but you need to, like, get out of this game easy shutout with these players. Like, Buongiorno was one of the best center backs 2 seasons ago or even last season. I know he was in and out of the lineup, and Buchama was a fantastic center back on
Right.
Bologna last season, and they should be able to work together and play well together, and they can't. And they're just Napoli. They leak in the back this year, and they did not do that last year. They were not a leaky club last year in terms of goals allowed. They had the best defense in all of Europe. They've allowed 28 goals this season. That's as much as Juventus has had. And we talk about how Juventus has allowed 21 in the last 8 games. Like that's not going to get it done, especially when you have most of your offensive weapons that score goals out.
2 words for you. Amir Rahmani.
Yeah.
Need him. You absolutely need him. Yeah, but I mean, for the rest of the season, they're kinda like big tilts that are left. Milan, I mean, I'll put Lazio in there because why not? Como, Bologna. Other than that, winnable games, the Como one's really important. So I guess, like, on strength of schedule, they're in a good position. But even with all these guys coming back, like, are they gonna be ready to go? Like, I mean, Kevin De Bruyne hasn't played in this system. He's played in a completely different system. Scott McTominay hasn't really been playing in this system either, because he's now been out since they've switched to this 3-4-3. I think he only played like 1 or 2 games in it. Lukaku is coming back. He's going to have to contribute a ton. And they're kind of just going to be relying on Allison Santos, Hoyland, maybe Giovanni, and David Neres. Like, I don't know. I'm worried for them.
Yeah, I think
And Vergara. That's who I missed.
I think you're justified to be worried for them. I mean, they had today, like last game, they had 0.68 xG. And like, do they stick with the system? Like, do they go back to what they were doing before that wasn't working? It's a lot of question marks, and you can't really, at this point in the season, you're not really supposed to be tinkering the lineup and trying to figure it
Right.
out. You should have it figured out. So tinkering could mean they drop points against some of these. And yes, they're playing lower level teams, but these teams, they have it figured out. They know how they
Yeah.
want to play. So coming into a game where Napoli's going to maybe play KDB, who hasn't played in 3, 4, 5 months, and trying to figure out how they're going to play, where a Torino, maybe not Torino, but like a Cremonese or a
Yeah.
Parma, they know
Yeah.
they
They know what
know
they
how
want to
they
do.
want to
Yeah.
play. It's going to be tough. It'll be tough for sure. So listen, it's definitely a four-person. Like, although Napoli are 6 points ahead of Juventus, it's definitely, in my opinion, a four-horse race for 3 and 4.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. But keeping it rolling. Genoa went to Inter. They lost 2-0. Goals from Federico DiMarco and Hakan Çalhanoğlu. Quick on Inter, Mots. They've kind of got it in the bag. 10 points clear. Absolutely destroying the league. They've scored 64 goals. I think the next most is 46. So absolutely blowing the doors off everybody. And then on the other side of the pitch, they've conceded 21 goals, and that's third best in the league. I mean, Kiwi's got it figured out, and they probably have the Serie A MVP.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, I think Inter's obviously had the best players in the best players going into the season, but they've had the best players for the last 5 or 6 years, let's call it, and they've only been able to win 2 Scudettos. And what Kivu's been able to do this season, you have to give him his flowers. I know I said that questions I think are justified for the Champions League, but when it comes to the Serie A, you cannot ask any questions. His rotation that he's done, the players that he's elevated, like Zelensky, Pio Esposito, Boni, I think's had a great run.
Yeah, great.
With him, Luis Enrique was filling in for Dumfries. He has streaky games, but he's been a good plug and play guy. And then I haven't seen a Cherby in here, which is a very smart move. So he's just making good moves. And then and I said this a couple episodes ago, but one of the smartest moves he's done that Inzaghi, for whatever reason, just did every game. He subbed Federico DiMarco out in the 60th minute because he didn't have the legs. But Kivu said, I'm not doing that. DiMarco is one of the best, if not the best wingback in the world. One of the main reasons, obviously, they have the players for a 3-5-2, but one of the main reasons they're playing the 3-5-2 is because it gets the best out of Federico DiMarco. Because we saw in Italy, he can't really play that four-man defense, just a left back. Federico DiMarco, what he has done this season, I don't think can be under. Like, we need to take a timeout and highlight this man. I think he's got to be in for team of the year for
Well,
2026 for the coming
UEFA.
year. Yeah, just this. His stats are 6 goals and 14 assists this season. So it's 20 goal contributions for a wingback. There are some teams in the Serie A that do not have more than 10 assists this season. He has 14 of them. Every game he's popping up on the stat sheet, whether it's an assist or a goal, every single game. I don't think that it can be understated what he's doing, and he's in top form, and it's great to see.
Yeah, and Inter as a whole, Federico DiMarco, yes, but even beyond that, in top 10 for goal contributions, they have 3 guys. DiMarco, this is just in the league. DiMarco has 19 goal contributions, Lautaro has 18, and then Hakan has 10. That's ludicrous. They're the best team in the league. It's a shame they got bounced in the Champions League, but they still have a chance at a domestic double, and they probably deserve it. It's a matter of, can they get it done? I think Kivu was learning a lot. And I think a lot of credit needs to go to Kivu for doing things that Inzaghi didn't do, in terms of, like you said, leaving DiMarco out there, rotating the squad. Hakan got hurt, and he stuck with Zelensky, working in Mkhitaryan, who had an assist this weekend, not only giving it to Sucic. And it's just been a great campaign from them, and it should end with a Scudetto and maybe 2 trophies. But yeah, beautiful team. Federico DiMarco, probably Serie A MVP if this continues.
He's my Serie A MVP for sure. And one thing I will say that Kivu has done is it's no longer he's just kind of babysitting Inzaghi's.
Right.
They don't play like Inzaghi played. Like, you don't see, yes, you see Bastoni going forward, but you don't see it like we saw, like the fluidity of a Barella playing center back and Lautaro playing midfield and Bastoni playing striker. You don't see that anymore. Like these guys have their positions on the field that they stick with and they're not really interchanging, but it works. It
And it's
very
still
much works.
entertaining. They still
Yeah,
put up goals.
I
They
mean,
still defend. Yeah,
they're still very direct. That hasn't changed. They want to cross it, but it's different. Like this is not just Kivu just kind of saying, "Hey, you guys already played together. You know what you're doing. Go do it." He's definitely put his fingerprints on the games and how they play. So I credit that to him because that might be maybe that's what we're seeing was the reason why Inter allowed so many late chance goals in the 75th minute plus last season that every week we came on Inter 80th minute goal to drop points and tie 5th minute goal 88th minute goal drop points and tie. Now with the center backs never really going too far forward, they always have players back and they can't get counterattacked as easily, and it's them being compact and sound defensively. And that shows because like you mentioned they've only allowed 21 goals this season and Roma have allowed 9. They have a great compact defense, and they even without the interchanging, they have the players that they can just go forward and score goals with Boni, Lautaro, Thuram, Pio Esposito, Barella, Zielinski, so on and so forth.
agreed. Keeping it moving. Milan went to Cremonese, won 2-0, courtesy of very late goals. 89th minute from Pavlovic and 94th minute from Rafael Leao. I would also say notably in this one, Rafael Leao had a couple very good chances, and Christian Pulisic did as well, which they didn't put away. And I think that kind of goes back to both of them aren't really number nines, and they're both kind of being forced into playing there. Nothing new, but I just want to keep pointing it out because I think it's important. The other thing in this one, Wesley Fofana played for, I think, the first time in a while that I've remembered him starting a game on the back of Ruben Loftus-Cheek being hurt, and he played exceptional. He was very good, covered a lot of blades of grass on the field, had a couple key passes, and was just all over the place. One man down, another man steps up, and it was a guy that kind of needed it because he had really been forced out of the team in a lot of ways. That's kind of it I have for Milan Lazio thing. I have nothing on Cremonese. They're about the same as they
Yeah,
were.
this is a poor performance. Cremonese has really fallen off. There was one point Fofana definitely had a good game, but there was one point in the game where Fofana took the ball from his 18 and drove it to right around like I'd say maybe 10 yards outside of their own, or like took it from his 18 to the other 18. With Cremonese, I don't even think a guy got in the shot. They were not closing him down. It was pretty embarrassing to watch. They didn't end up scoring the goal, but yeah, I would say like this is what kind of you expected from Milan. They're nothing too different.
All right, cool. Another interesting game. Atalanta went to Sassuolo. They lost 2-1. This was a very interesting game. Sassuolo got a 16th minute red card from Pinamonti, and then Sass proceeded to score 2 goals, go up 2-0, and then concede a late one to Yunus Musa in the 88th. But goal scorers on the Sass side were Kone and Thorsved, both great goals. Atalanta are probably kicking themselves after this one. 3.18 XG to 1.52. Very good performance from Sassuolo's goalie Muric. Part of this may have been they exerted so much energy in the Dortmund one to try to go again at the weekend was a little tough, and I think that was a little bit of a factor. I don't think they were very deadly when they had the ball. We're kind of going through the motions. But I think you got to give a lot of credit to Sass for getting after it, still producing a lot of good opportunities. Didn't have a ton of the ball. But for me, I think Sass only know how to play one way, and it's on the front foot. They play this 4-3-3. It doesn't matter who they're playing. Apparently, it doesn't matter how many men they have on the field. They're always trying to bring the game to you if they can, and they're going to attack, and they're going to try to score goals. That's kind of what they've done all year, and I think Fabio Grosso deserves a ton of credit for that. I think he's a manager that looks at every game saying this is an opportunity for us to get 3 points, and at the end of the day, like if we lose, if we win 1, that's the same as us drawing 3. So like we can go and get after it every time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, before Sass went down, they were known as the Giant Slayers, right? They would always upset big clubs or clubs within typically the top half of the Serie A table. And the team isn't much different, especially the
Uh-uh.
attackers from 2 seasons ago. And this was a team that was very, very consistently in the middle of the table. And it was a big shock, I think, for everybody when they went down. But this is where Sass should be, and they were for a while, and they should be able to hopefully stay here. And this just makes the league that much better when you have obviously they're newly promoted, but it was an in my opinion, a fluke that they went down. But when you have newly promoted sides doing this well this early, it just makes it that much more competitive, which is great to see. And it was a great performance by Sass. Atalanta, man, they've
Yeah, tough. Really, really.
Atalanted.
They did.
They
They did.
Atalanted.
I
Talk
mean,
about
if they win this
an
one,
opportunity
they're even on
squandered.
point. They're even on points with Como, 1 point above Juve. Squandered it.
And we're talking about, yeah, I mean, absolutely squandered. That's one thing I will say. Doing this, covering the Serie A for what? This is our second year now. And we've talked about this before, but we come on each week thinking like this performance just costed them the season, but it's obviously just one drop in a bucket. But what I want to say is what I've noticed over covering it is getting hot at the right point is crucial. So slow starts aren't that big of a deal. Bologna last season, they couldn't score more than one goal for like 10, 12 games. They've had a great season, won the Coppa Italia. Roma were in relegation until Thanksgiving, and then they were 1 point or 2 points away from Champions League. Atalanta this season, they couldn't figure it out, and now they're very well. They could finish in Europa or even Champions League spot. Whereas Juventus, they got hot 7, 8 games ago, and now they're starting to stumble. It's about when you get hot, and you want to get hot at the later half of the season, like Atalanta's doing. And this is because they're so hot and they were up a man. You did not expect to see this, and it's a very, very big opportunity squandered.
Yeah, and for them coming up now kind of hurts them. They're still in 3 competitions. They got Coppa Italia, Champions League, and Serie A. And so this week, so from March 4th to March 14th, 10 days, they have 4 games. They've got Lazio in the Coppa Italia, Udinese in the league, then Bayern, Inter, and then Bayern on the 18th. So 5 games in 14 days. That's intense and make or break.
Who do they
It's make or break
play?
time.
Okay, then after Bayern, they have a slight, I don't want to say break, but Verona and Lecce,
Yeah,
then Juve
I
and
would call it a
Roma.
break.
So
They
I
have a very hard
honestly,
end to the
dude,
season. So they have Juve, Roma, Cagliari, Genoa, Milan, Bologna, Fiorentina. That's not easy.
wow, that's tough. Yeah, this race, obviously, Como. Just take away Como. The Atalanta, Juventus, Roma race could really be. You could really have a clear picture come April 20th, because Atalanta plays both Juve and Roma back to back after that. April 12th.
True. Good point. Good on them.
Yeah, I mean, the obviously Inter is running away with the Scudetto, so we don't necessarily have a nail biter at the top of the table. But this race for top 4 is something crazy with Atalanta, with the way that they were able to turn it around, with the way Juventus has struggled, Como's been balling, and Roma just kind of are like,
Somewhere.
I don't even know how to explain. They're just like in the middle there.
Right.
But it's a tight race. We'll see what happens with Napoli, and we'll see even if Milan can keep pace with their comfort. Because I think it really could end up being a 6-team race for 2 through 4.
I don't think Milan's going to fall off. I think Milan's got second locked up.
I think Milan can fall off.
They're too steady. They don't really fuck up a lot, and they're not going to give up a 4
I think they could fall off.
6-point gap.
Let me see.
From
They
4th.
got they have
It's
Milan
not a ton.
or
No,
Inter.
You're right.
They have Inter, and then they have Napoli too. And then they also play Juve and Atalanta.
No, you're right.
So,
You're right.
like,
This is 6 teams. It's 6 teams. You're right. And then the last couple games we got to run through here. Lazio went to Torino. Torino won 2-0 in Tavares' first game in charge as Baroni did get sacked. I don't think we've got a chance to talk about that. We don't need to talk about it. Because Lazio.
No, let's say this. I do think Baroni, for whatever reason, didn't succeed at Torino. Baroni is a great coach. He's a great manager, and some other Italian team should go get him. Maybe like you know who should go get him right now? I don't even know. Does Fiorentina still have your boy
Vanoli?
I'm sacking Vanoli. I'm getting Baroni immediately. Or
no, I mean he should have a job. He should definitely have a job.
He's a great manager. If I'm Fiorentina, I would go get him.
Yeah, I mean he should have a job. Come next year, I would be shocked for him to not be back in the league. Like the Torino situation didn't go well, and I think that wasn't just him. At the end of the day, Because
Yeah,
what he
for
did with
sure. But
Lazio
like you
last year was
can't.
ridiculous.
Yes, literally, like what he did with Lazio last year, and they did have a transfer window. And sorry, I don't want to compare Sorry to Baroni, but
I mean, the only player that
Lazio's team.
Sorry had the exact same team until they sold Tati Castellanos.
No, that's true. But you would think that like in the summer you can bring in a
Right.
couple other players. But what Baroni did last year with Lazio was incredible. And I'd take it two steps further. What he did with Verona 2 seasons ago, when before he was on Lazio, Verona sold 12 guys and he kept them up. Baroni is a good manager.
Yeah. But on the back of that, so they appoint Diverza. He goes 3-5-2. Fucking love it. He did everything that Baroni wasn't doing, just went back to basics. 3-5-2, big number 9, two number 9s up top, Gio Simeone, Dubon Zapata. Both of them score in this game. Just behind them, playing classic number 10, the captain, Vlasic, makes a lot of sense. I just like this approach. Don't do anything crazy. Tried and proven formation in this league is a 3-5-2 with two big men up top. Don't go crazy. You did that and you beat Lazio 2-0. Lazio, on the other hand, like again, we haven't talked about them a lot this year because there's nothing to talk about, right? Like I don't know what to say about them at
Dude,
this point.
I know exactly what to say. You look at this lineup and the players are just not they're not even at the Lazio level
Yeah.
in my opinion. Like at least we're just going off of what Baroni did. Like Guendouzi, Rovella, I'm trying to think who was the constant starters. Zacagna, I know he played. Nuno
Dia,
Tavares, Gila,
Isak,
Romagnoli. Like those guys are of the Lazio level and can finish in a Europa League spot game in and game out. But the team that was rolled out on this pitch it's honestly embarrassing where Lazio are at, and it's got to 100% all be on ownership. I put none of this on Maurizio Sarri whatsoever. It's all on Latito and the ownership. It's embarrassing. If I was a Lazio fan, I would be calling for Latito's head. This is
I
like
mean, they have been, to be fair.
this lineup. I didn't watch this game, obviously. Wow, I'm
I
looking at this
did.
lineup now.
They rolled them. Like Torino.
This lineup is embarrassing, dude. This is a lineup that you would see for like Pisa, besides
Zacagna,
Zacagna and
Romagnoli.
Romagnoli.
Yeah. No, I know it's gotten so bad. I don't even know what else
So
to say.
bad.
It's gotten so bad. That's why we haven't been able to talk about them though. It's just because like what is there to talk about? Like
And you know what?
they've sold
Let me
their
tell
good
you something.
players. They haven't kept any like they haven't done anything good.
And let me tell you something. I love it.
My God.
I love it.
I
Lazio
don't.
sucking is something that I've wanted for a very long time. It's something that Latito deserves. He thinks his shit doesn't stink. It does. Like you don't run a club well, Latito, and this is what happens when you don't run a club well. You get what you deserve. You get what you pay for.
Yeah, they have a lot of work to do, but I think on the Torino side of things, a change was needed to bring it full circle. Verona needed to go. This season, they're 6 points clear of relegation. They should not be down there. They're good enough to get out of this. I think they'll be fine. This season's kind of a wash, and you kind of go from there. And for Lazio, they're in 11th place and suck. So nothing else to say. Bologna went to Pisa, sucked again, but somehow won. 90th minute winner from Odgaard. Really big win. That actually makes it 3 in a row for Bologna in the league. Although it doesn't feel like that's been happening. I think they are teetering on disaster, and they've kind of been skating out of it. And this is another example of that. Pieces going down, so nothing what we say matters about.
Yeah, I think Bologna, where what comes into play here is their lightning in a bottle might be out of the bottle now. Like what they were able to do last season, being picked apart by Premier League teams and Juventus taking their manager, even though it didn't work out. And the way that they were able to still look like nothing happened, look like they didn't lose their two best players. They didn't have a new manager. People were saying we like Italiano better than we ever liked Mata. Was unpredictable. It was not normal. And I think this is what a lot of people thought was going to happen to Bologna last season, and it finally caught up to them. I also think it doesn't help the fact that they did so well last season, and then some of their players thought that they deserved to move elsewhere as well. It didn't happen, so they didn't have the buy-in right away. I don't know if they've ever truly had the buy-in with the way that they played this season. So it's unfortunate. You hope to see them be able to sell some of their players because you know that's going to happen. People are going to leave, and then bolster the team with investments younger and develop like they did so well 2 seasons, 3 seasons ago. Whereas this summer, we talked about it. They went, for whatever reason, they went away from what they knew what they were doing in terms of buying young, developing, and they went and they got Bernardeschi from the MLS, Immobile, who left the league. It wasn't Bologna-esque, and hopefully this season they can kind of get back to their roots and start buying younger and developing again.
Agreed. And then the last game happened today. Fiorentina went to Udinese. Really bad result for Fiorentina. 3-0 loss to Udinese. I would say unacceptable, honestly, but at this point, I don't know with them. Goal scorers for Udinese were Cabaselli, Kenan Davies, and Buxa. Udinese, nothing new though. Like they pull results like this. They play structured football. They had a set piece. They had a penalty kick, and they got it done. I mean, they're a 10th place team. That's where they're going to be. For Fiorentina, like this was another drop of 3 points. You are on 24 points, even with Lecce in 18th. Like you're still down there. In this type of game, you got to get 1 point at the very least. Like Udinese is not the most dangerous team you're going to play. And what I really didn't like is Vanoli got away from this like 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 that they were playing, went back to the back three and kind of, I don't know if it was just like set up a more defensive posture, but in a way, you're in this relegation battle. You got to go get this to get out of it. And this is not an approach that is conducive to that. They didn't really create any opportunities. And this is just like, they're not safe and they're playing like a team that might be safe.
Daniela Rugani's performance
Oh my
was
God.
abysmal.
Abysmal.
Abysmal. We know what Fiorentina has been this season. They're not, you got to, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Like they don't have it this season. And what I want to ask you is, they still have to stay up, right? But let's say they get it done and they stay up. Do we think next season they can go back to the old Fiorentina of possibly finishing in the top 7?
No.
Or is this who they are now?
Who they are now, it's hard to say. I mean, player personnel-wise, like are any of these guys lock top 7? Like if you go through their lineup today, Pongracic, Rugani, Ranieri. Do any teams in the top 10 want those players? Probably not.
But I think they have like their best 11. I think 7 or 8 of those players, teams in the top 7 want them. Camuzzo, albeit he's had an awful season, I think big clubs would want him.
I mean, Fagioli has been okay. Dodo's good, yes, and Gozens is good. But
big clubs would want Dodo. I agree, Fagioli hasn't been it, but I think like he came from
potential's
Juventus.
there. Mandragora,
yeah, he's one of the best midfielders in the league, even though they still suck.
No,
he is literally their offense.
I guess my core issue with them, and I don't know what's wrong. We have such a large sample size, and I still don't know why they're so bad.
It could be like just because it still hasn't clicked, but because it took so long to click, there's just no belief in the team. It could be that there's no style of play, there's no system, no one knows what to do. It could be a lot of different reasons, but I hope they stay up because it's better for the league. And Fiorentina is and has been a very good team for a long time in the Serie A. So I want them to stay up. But I'm interested. And I think one of the best storylines of next season is going to be, what does Fiorentina look like?
Like, who are they? We don't even know anymore.
I think
they're still in the Conference League.
Yeah, they have foundational pieces for sure.
They do. Yes.
Keane, Gudmundsson, Fagioli, Mandragora, Camuzzo, Dodo,
Gozens,
Brescianini.
Yeah.
So, but they're going to have to make moves. They're going to have to figure out what I would get Baroni. I really would. But that's going to be one of the things that I'm going to be very interested in next season is what is Fiorentina.
I agree. And that's assuming they stay up this year because they're not out of the woods just yet.
That is assuming they stay up. And if they don't stay up, not to cut you off, if they don't stay up, flash sale and some of these Serie A teams and maybe even Premier League teams are going to be getting some bargain players.
Good bargain players too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my take on like them having not good players, it's still not true, which is why we wanted them up. We all had them higher than this. Oh no, I did it because
in 4th.
I think I had them in like 9th because of Pioli, which we were right.
Pioli, as much as Logan hates Pioli, but he did issue the apology. People forget. I forget who did the press conference. Maybe it was Allegri, and he said like who's going to be going for the top four, and it was Inter, Milan, Roma, Napoli, Juventus, and he left out Fiorentina. And Pioli was like pissed off and was like, "This team can and will finish top four, and they are looking at bottom four."
I don't know. It just everything has gone wrong at the end of the day. Nothing has gone right.
Yeah.
They can't get anything done. But that's it for Matchweek 27, guys. That's it. That's it for us. If you're still with us, again, a reminder to like, follow, subscribe, leave us a review, 5 stars on Spotify, 5 stars on Apple Pods, all those things. But that's it for us. We'll be back next week.
Yeah. Real quick before we sign off, we do have a Kopi. I don't know the odds. I'll just rip the legs off. It's all in one game. Inter Milan, the derby. We got over 2.5, both teams to score, and moneyline Milan.
We'll let you guess. We'll let you guess.
Yeah. But yeah, so don't know what those odds are, but it's all in one game. So throw it all on it. Take each leg, take them all, take them separate, parlay them. But yeah, listen, like Bo said, follow, like, subscribe. Different episode today, fun episode. Leave a comment. Do not be a gagoots. Forza Calcio Culture.